9.8 meters per second squared is a suggestion, not a law, when the atmosphere is thick enough to swim in. Vance Cord felt the scream of the wind trying to peel the skin from his face as he plummeted through the golden haze of Zephyr 3. His altimeter was a blur of spinning red digits, but he didn't need a computer to tell him he was moving at terminal velocity. He could feel it in the way the air hammered against his chest, a physical weight he had to carve through with the sharpened edges of his wingsuit. Then the sky began to bleed green. From the swirling cloud banks emerged the bile screamers. They were prehistoric nightmares evolved for a world without a floor, four-winged monsters with leathery, translucent skin and eyes that burned like dying suns. As the first screamer banked toward the human intrusion, its throat sac swelled, glowing with a bioluminescent emerald light. It hissed, and a jet of concentrated, pressurized acid lanced through the air. Break formation. Go to glides. Vance roared over the comms, his voice a jagged rasp against the roar of the gale. He snapped his arms out, the carbon fiber webbing of his wingsuit catching the thick air with a jolt that nearly dislocated his shoulders. He went from a vertical plummet to a horizontal streak, a black needle sewing through a tapestry of golden clouds. The acid stream hissed past his boots, striking a stabilization thruster on a fellow jumper's rig. The metal turned to slag in heartbeats, the soldier spiraling away into the yellow void. Vance didn't look back. He was the hunter now. He tilted his head-up display, locking his reticle onto the lead screamer, a massive alpha with a wingspan that could shadow a Corvette. The beast saw him coming and banked hard, its secondary wings flapping with the sound of a thunderclap. Vance reached for the Skylance mounted on his forearm, a pneumatic harpoon launcher powered by high-pressure CO2. He waited for the beast to open its maw for another acid strike. Thwip. The titanium bolt ignored the wind, trailing a high-tension monofilament wire as it buried itself deep into the screamer's chest. The beast shrieked, a sound that bypassed the air and vibrated directly through Vance's skull. It tried to fly upward, to drag the human into the thin, frozen air of the upper atmosphere. Vance didn't fight the pull, he reeled himself in. He became a parasite of the wind, his winch whining as it dragged him toward the flapping, leathery back of the monster. The screamer rolled, trying to crush him with its own weight. Vance released his mag anchors, his boots slamming into the creature's spinal plates with a metallic clack. He drew a thermal spike, a foot-long rod of white-hot magnesium. "My sky, you overgrown lizard," Vance hissed. He drove the spike into the base of the screamer's acid sac. The reaction was a chemical apocalypse. The thermal heat met the pressurized bile. For a second, the screamer glowed from the inside out, a brilliant, terrifying green. Then the sac detonated. Vance kicked off just as the creature's chest cavity erupted in a spray of vaporized acid and bone. The shockwave catapulted him upward, throwing him into a chaotic spin. He deployed his emergency chutes, the black silk snapping open with a sound like a gunshot, jerking him back to reality. Below him, the Alpha Screamer was a falling star of green fire, disappearing into the endless golden mists of the lower strata. The rest of the swarm, sensing the death of their king, scattered into the clouds, their primal instinct overridden by the sheer, calculated violence of the humans. Vance drifted downward, the silence of the sky returning as the wind settled into a gentle hum. He looked at his gloved hands, still shaking from the adrenaline, and then at the horizon where the sun was setting behind the gas giant. He wasn't a bird and he wasn't a god. He was just a man who knew how to fall better than the things that were born to fly. The clouds part. The acid cools. The hunter lands. Vance Cord touches down on a floating island of moss and stone, his chutes fluttering like the wings of a fallen angel. He unfastens his helmet, drawing in the thick, sulfurous air of Zephyr 3. He is alone, he is bruised, and he is the highest thing in the food chain. The sky is empty. The gravity is his. The victory is silent.